Dante Alighieri was a poet, writer, political statesman, enemy of the Pope, and native son of Florence. However, this story is not about Dante's life. This story starts with his death and the 700 years that followed, including an attempted grave robbery, a feud between two Italian cities, and a sarcophagus inscription that disses the city of Florence so hard that it has taken them 7 centuries to recover. My name is Cato Jones, and come with me as I tell you the story of the bones of Dante Alighieri. But first, some backstory. Dante was born in either May or June of 1265. We know that he was a Gemini, but we don't know his exact birth date. He was born in the city-state of Florence. He came from a wealthy family. He studied religion and philosophy in his younger years and went on to write works such as La Vita Nuova, De Monarchia, and probably most famously the Divine Comedy, which consists of 3 books: Inferno, which is by far the best one, Purgatory, and Paradiso. Dante was also heavily involved in the politics of his time. Now, 13th and 14th century Italian politics are extremely messy. So, without going into too much detail, after victory in war, Dante's political party, the Guelphs, started to infight, and they decided to split, becoming the White Guelphs and the Black Guelphs. The Black Guelphs supported the Pope, who had tons of military and political power, second only to the Emperor. The White Guelphs, Dante's party, felt that the Pope, specifically Pope Boniface VIII, had far too much power and influence in foreign affairs and needed to lessen his grip on Europe. The White Guelphs gained power first and expelled the Black Guelphs out of Florence. Pope Boniface sent ambassadors to work things out, but the only demands the White Guelphs and Dante wanted was independence from the Pope's influence. Pope Boniface then arranged a delegation to meet in Rome to kind of sort all this out. However, that was a ruse, and while Dante was in Rome, the Black Guelphs took the opportunity to take back Florence by killing as many of their enemies as possible. Then the Black Guelphs sent Dante a message highly suggesting that he not return to Florence, thus the same fate await him. Dante was then put on trial without his presence and deemed guilty of corruption. He was exiled for 2 years, and if he ever wanted to return to Florence, he had to pay a large fine and make a public statement saying that he was wrong and they were right. Dante said nah. He refused to pay the fine, and they told him that if he ever tried to return to Florence without paying, that he would be burned at the stake. Dante never returned to Florence and died of malaria in the city of Ravenna on September 14th, 1321, at the age of 56. So what happened after his death? 8 years after Dante's death, his work De Monarchia, a text about political and secular power, was considered heretical by the Catholic Church, and a local cardinal demanded that Dante's bones be burned. However, officials in the city of Ravenna intervened just in time. The epitaph on Dante's sarcophagus reads, "Here lie I, Dante, exiled from the shores of his fatherland, I whom Florence, mother of its own little love, did beget." Which basically means Dante did a lot for this city and y'all just abandoned him. You could tell that Dante's friends and family had a lot to say about Dante's exile. The public opinion of the people of Florence began to shift from Dante being an enemy of the state to beloved Florentine writer around 1396. The city of Florence's first official request for Dante's bones went something like this. "Hey Ravenna, yeah? We were thinking of building a mausoleum for famous Florentine figures that may have died elsewhere, and we kind of need Dante's bones to complete it. You got our letter, right?" "Yeah, we got it." "Well, we offered to buy his bones from you." If you just now sought to atone for this neglect, then you only further debase yourselves by wanting to purchase his remains. I mean, your city isn't the richest. Do you really value a poet's bones over more wealth? Bye. Officials in Florence roughly tried the same thing 30 years later in 1429 and got the same answer, a hard no. Less than a century later, in 1519, a group of academics and artists, including Michelangelo, petitioned Pope Leo X to have Dante's bones returned to Florence. The city of Ravenna was still in no mood to give up Dante's bones, so Pope Leo ordered a group of men to sneak into the Franciscan monastery where Dante lay and steal his bones in the middle of the night. However, when they arrived, the sarcophagus was empty. The monks at the monastery had been warned ahead of time and hid the bones before the body snatchers could get to them. The monks had dug a hole in the wall in between the monastery and where Dante's tomb was, and that's where he lay under guard for 3 centuries. The only time Dante's body was moved was in 1677, when the monks built him a new coffin, and in 1781, where a new monument was built for him. The monks at the Franciscan monastery passed down the task of watching over Dante's bones throughout the generations. That is until 1810, when Napoleon decided that Italy needed to be occupied, forcing the monks to flee, leaving Dante behind. They buried the bones underneath the doorway of the monastery in hopes of returning. But unfortunately, nobody ever did, and Dante's body was considered lost. In 1829, the city of Florence built a cenotaph, or empty tomb, in honor of him, with the inscription reading, "Honor to the loftiest of poets, his shadow, which has departed, now returns," taken directly from the 4th canto of Inferno. It was a not-so-subtle plea to have Dante returned to his hometown. Ravenna kept the knowledge that Dante had been lost a secret, not wanting Florence to get wind of it, although there were rumors. It wasn't until 1865 when a stonemason who was doing construction on the chapel noticed a wooden box under the stones. So how did experts at the time know that these were the bones of their missing poet? Well, probably because the coffin said Dante's bones right on it. So
that was easy.
The bones were placed on public display just in time for Dante's 600th birthday. And Dante went back inside his original tomb. That is until World War II broke out. Now, I could go into how Mussolini attempted to make Dante into an Italian fascist symbol, but I don't want to talk about Mussolini because he sucks. So, to prevent any damage that may incur from bombings, Dante's body was again moved from the tomb and buried underground in the garden next to the chapel. He lay there from March 23, 1944 until December 29, 1945. The city of Florence finally decided to abandon all ye hope of ever getting Dante back and relented instead to give Ravenna olive oil to light every year on the day of his death, September 14th. But that's not quite the end. In 2008, Florence formally apologized for exiling Dante almost 700 years previous. They invited Sergio Alighieri, Dante's direct descendant, to attend. He refused their invitation to attend the meeting upon learning that the city council's decision was not a unanimous one, stating that he wanted no involvement in Florence's petty politics, which is how his ancestor was exiled in the first place. In May of 2021, marking the 700th year since his death, Dante was given a retrial for his convictions. The trial was attended by an Italian Supreme Court judge, a defense lawyer, historians, the descendant of the judge who sentenced Dante, and Dante's direct descendants, including Sergio Alighieri. The trial was held over Zoom. Sergio Alighieri was again less than thrilled, saying that the trial didn't really matter. He had this to say, quote, "He never returned to Florence. Anything that can be done for him today will not change any of that." So, now you're all caught up on the story of Dante's remains. Florence still hasn't gotten their poet back, and Ravenna remains undefeated. I think the moral of this story is don't piss off your writers, because it could haunt you for 700 years. My name is Kato Jones. I don't have a set schedule for these videos yet, but if you like them, let me know. And thank you so much for watching.